There you go. Hello. Oh, drive. No worries, man. No worries. Drive safe. Drive safe. Oh, and we're back, baby, with more Crash Bandicoot Wrath of the Cortex. How is everyone doing today? Jax! Hold up.
Listen to my story.
Maybe
This may be our last chance.
Samurai_edgerunner_Jax just subscribed. Hello Welsh, how are you today? Have you watched the Nintendo Direct?
I didn't watch the Nintendo Direct. I heard I've heard a few things about it though. I'm doing okay. I seen Zelda's got her own game, a bit like Princess Peach, so that's really cool. A couple of Dragon Quest 3 got a remake / remaster. A couple of the bits and bobs. I saw Strays getting ported to Switch. There was a Capcom and Marvel fighting collection I think I saw as well. Yeah, I watched bits and pieces. I saw bits and pieces. I haven't properly watched it or siphoned through it then. Oh, there's a new Mario Luigi game? Oh, let's fucking go. Let's go. Because I think the last one was it Partners in Time? Maybe? Ah, Paper Jam. That's the one. Yeah. My bad. My bad. Hey, Luca, welcome in. Lycan, good to see you. Good to see you. A man tried to sell me a coffin today. I told him that's the last thing I need. Which is true. Sugna. Yeah, okay, Luca. How we all doing? But yeah, I seen a few bits and pieces. I think I saw a couple of like fighting game collections and whatnot and remakes. You're okay with Sega? No, well, not really. Not really. It's just I have no choice in the matter, do I? So. Heyo, yeah. Nintendo. There was a Nintendo Direct, Luco. Metroid Prime 4 got its gameplay reveal. Ooh, nice. Nice. Because I know they did the remaster of the first one, didn't they? So that's been like ongoing for years, isn't it? Metroid Prime 4? If I'm not mistaken. Anyway. Let's... Well, there's the game. Aha, we have audio. Nice. I have audio. I can hear audio. Good. Okay, exit. See? You know. But yeah, we're back. We're back with more Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. So we started the game yesterday, and we're already about halfway through in terms of getting the crystals, ish. So you know, that's nice. And so now we've got a couple levels left to wrap up, and then we've got Fahrenheit Frenzy, and then Tsunami, which is a Coco level. Okay, real quick, fuck Nintendo. Nice to see you getting out that you're getting that out of the way now. That's good. That's good to hear. How did I know? How did I know you would say that exactly? It's amazing. gotta do your daily routine, right? Okay. That was probably the longest load. Oh, okay. Okay, this is... Depth perception is not great. I cannot lie. Don't want to go anywhere near those lights because I might die. Probably. I'm here all day, every day. And I appreciate it. I appreciate being here every day, all day, every day. Or even when I'm offline? That's a bit weird. Oh. That's lava. I can't touch that. Cannot touch the lava. Fine. You can tell I've played this level before, right? Perfect hours. Yeah, I see. I seen there's a mature category now for like Nintendo Switch Online stuff. Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah, there was like is it Turok, Perfect Dark, and a couple of others. That means Conker's Bad Fur Day will be added. Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, if there's a mature category now, they've got like no excuse to like basically put it on. Oh god. This is fine. Yeah, I got one. Oh, I mean, I got 96 lives, so I think we're fine. And boosh! Nice. And we're out of there. Nice. Good stuff. Point. Oh, no. What have I got? But yeah, that's kind of all I saw. That's kind of all I saw from the Nintendo Direct. In all fairness. That's cool that they're adding more stuff. And, you know, Zelda getting her own game, a bit like Link's Awakening, is quite cool too. It's very cool. Run, 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 run. We didn't miss any boxes, because I'd be kind of worried if I did. Boom, 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 boom. Bonus. Yeah, that's what I need for that, because it'll blow the nitrous. Okay, tiptoe. Hold tight when you tiptoe. Oh, really? I held the button down. Fuck off. You can't tell me otherwise. Oh, I know. Okay. Well, that happened. Well, that happened. I've lost my Akaraku now, which is very sad. Do I need to get that? Probably not. Should be fine. Alright. I mean, we got 99 lives now, so it's fine. It only took us 3 warp rooms. That's fine. Yep. Sorry about that. Right, where are we going again? This way. This way. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum. What we got? Oh, guaranteed I've missed a boatload of boxes or something. It's daft. I'm not invisible anymore. I don't need a power up to be invisible. Am I right? Let's go. Okay. Well, thank you again for the 38-month resub, Jax. I really, really appreciate that. I didn't say so before. Okay, so last but not least is Coco level. Tsunami. Ow, that's my hand on the keyboard.
Hope you brought your sunscreen, cause you're gonna burn!
I mean, you burn with sunscreen anyway, so that doesn't make much difference. Especially when it's especially when you're the fire element. Like you're the embodiment of fire, then sunscreen's not going to really cut it. It's just not. It's like slapping a band-aid on an open wound. Like, no, it's just it's really not going to help. Oh, look, it's Wales. Constantly fucking raining. Love that. I did watch that, yes. I saw it all over social media and I was like, ooh. I did watch it, yes. Very, very creepy. Very, very creepy. Oh, 3, 4, 5. They finally announced fucking Metroid Prime 4. Yep, they did. Apparently they released some gameplay footage for it. Well, that's embarrassing. I didn't mean to get hit by TNT, but okay. Oh yeah, forget Coco. Coco doesn't have any of the power-ups, which is hilarious. One, 3, 4, 5. Well, good thing I'm not going to watch that. What, Metroid Prime 4? You're not going to watch the gameplay? You're not going to watch the gameplay trailer? Oh. Huh. Let's do the bonus again? No, okay, thank God. Oh, the Nintendo Direct in general. Oh. Right, time to outmaneuver a tsunami on a scooter. Let's go. Oh, I gotta press circle to boost. Worst thing is now, I don't really know where the boxes are or where they're gonna land. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm so dead. I finally found out the power of not caring about anything. I'm being a cynical, narcissistic asshole. Good for you. Good for you. I can't remember if the tsunami... I mean, technically the tsunami should break the boxes, but I don't know if they actually do. And do you know what the weakness of a tsunami is? A big wooden door. Lo and behold. No, I want to go this way first because this is the blue gem path, and I need the nitrous here. Okay, boing, boing. Oh God! Why are these platforms so hard to jump on? Fuck! I didn't even see that. Fuck. I fucking enjoyed the Nintendo Direct. I thought it was amazing. Hey, and that's fine. No, not everyone's gonna hate it. Not everyone's gonna love it. That's fine. So I don't want to have. Yeah, it's not well. Depends probably how you are mentally, I suppose. Like that, it can go wrong pretty quickly in that regard. Oh, I forget this has nitro boxes. It's fine. There you go, and die. Everything that isn't Monster Hunter has big titty mommy girlfriends is literally useless to society and humanity as a whole. I mean, that's one way to look at it, I suppose. Ah. Or you're just horny, Luku. That's probably what it is. That's probably just what it is. What is that? Pretty much what you just described. So, can you eat it? Depends, I think. There's different variations. Depends what tickles your fancy, I suppose. I will stick to having a positive. Yeah, good for you, Jax. You stick to that positive outlook. All right. Crashes to ashes. Can I inject it then? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't recommend it.
Ah, the triumphant hero Crash, reduced to a pile of smoldering ash.
Let's finish this.
Well, you're not finishing it because it's 2 more warp rooms, so that's a bit dumb. Like, come on, Crunch. If you're gonna be a villain, at least try and make it, you know. Well, Crins, I'll just keep being a cynical asshole. I tried. I really did. All right. Gimmick battle number 2. Oh look, he's literally just molten rock and lava. So I gotta run away. Dodge boulders, as one does. And this is like a droid, crash droid thing. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know what it's called. But that's gonna be a gimmick in the next couple of warp rooms. So it's not gonna be in red because the red version's only one cut. Well, you only get 3 of them. But the yellow one is more popular model. So we'll see the yellow variety of this at some point. Now. So what we gotta do is spray old Crunchy Boy here with water, because water is the weakness of fire. So yeah, this is the worst phase because he'll throw boulders now, and now they have a chance to break and split like that. It can make your life a living hell, or not. I believe it's random how they split. Oh shit, I didn't even see that boulder roll. Fuck, I didn't even see that thing roll to me. I did put skeptical in there, just to imagine that has been a question something. Yes, of course. Because being too positive can also be a negative thing. How much time do they fucking reckon they... Oh, Jesus. 14 minutes. Hey, that's a standard Nintendo Direct. Thank you very much. I sat through Summer Games Fest for 2 hours. And it was like middle of the night. Just don't want to be miserable. That's fair. That's very fair. It's a good outlook to have, just to not be miserable. Just to get by and take the good one, take the good points, take the good and the bad and enjoy them. Hey Ethereum, how you doing, buddy? I could have 3 children by the time that thing ends. Now, I don't want to be a bit of a snob here, but it's a little extreme. A little bit, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, the theme of the day is that we're all just really miserable. Well, apart from Jax. Jax is the only sane one here. Being literally anything can be a negative thing. You just have to pick a poison. Yeah, yeah. When you technically, yeah, I suppose. Just existing as something can be a negative thing to somebody. You just got to pick the lesser evil, I suppose. I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better than yesterday, Ethereum. That's good. Alright, let's not try and get murdered by splitting boulders again, if we can help it. Mario Luigi Brothership? Yeah, there's a new Mario Luigi game, yep. Next. Okay, next. Fuck. Okay, we did it, we did it, we did it. And we got a new power-up, which I believe is a Death Tornado spin. Nice. NSO can suck a bag of dicks. Next, Fairy Tail's been dead for decades. I love we're just having a run-by-run, a play-by-play. Just Luco just saying, what the fuck is this shit? Nice. That's nice. I want to focus on the parts of gaming that make me happy and appreciate gaming. I just don't want to hyper focus on the negative parts and end up making me miserable. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. New Sakaguchi game, that's kind of cool. Oh, I think I saw something about that. Isn't he like the creator of Final Fantasy or something? I know I make it sound like he's not that important, but I think he is important. Fantasian Neo Dimension or something. Ooh. Oh, Imatsu's in it too? Nice. Hell yeah. Let's have a banging soundtrack then. No worries for the shoutouts. Anytime, anytime. Yeah, I thought so. I saw something online. Like, he was, like, an integral part of... He was the creator.
Cortex! Why is that mindless Marsupio still collecting those crystals? He's defeated Rocco and Wawa! I'm beginning to question the value of your super weapon! I don't need another mask's help. I could take this crash punk out with my metal arm tied behind my... Oh, Crunch. Stop being silly. Uka, he will use the elemental masks. No need for you to lose any beauty sleep.
Okay. Alright, so we've got the detonator spin now. So now we're into wind and ice territory. Avalanche, yep. Droid Void. Oh, I love that. Crash Droids. Coral Canyon, and then Weathering Heights instead of Withering Heights. Let's do Crash Droids, because that's a vehicle level. Nintendo Switch Sports? This isn't the Wii anymore, Nintendo. Next.
Oh. The Crash Bandicoot, eh? Oh, I've heard so much about you, and this is the hero I have to blow away? Huh, seems like a bunch of hot air to me.
Wow, we have basketball on this one. No one cares. You sound like that Spotify advert. Skip. Next. MIO looks pretty moody. I don't know what that is. Mission Impossible? No, that's not right.
Coco, Cortex has assembled an armada of space stations that are ready to strike the planet. Use the lasers on your ship to destroy them.
Missing in orbit or something. Okay. Oh, I remember this. Out, out, out. Can I not get shot at, please? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, this one I can actually... Yes, I can barrel roll on this one. I just remembered. Ow. Whoa! Okay, gotta hit the UFOs. Can we, like, not? Okay. It's 14 boxes I gotta get? Fuck, dude. I'm just gonna hold X and just aim at things. Oh, okay. Did I just die? Oh, okay. Cool. I just got one hit KO'd. Nice. Oh, did I hit a boulder or something? Can you not get hit, please? Oh my god, I'm just getting... Disney Illusion Island? Oh, okay. What even is that? I don't know. I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Okay, so enemy ships can hit me like twice, and then that's about it. But like rocks, no. Like I just get insta-killed. I mean, it's good to know at least. I mean, from being honest, it's good to know. Well, oh my! What did I get hit by? Can we stop with the island games? Like the thing. Okay, so I just got. I'm just getting. I think I'm getting hit by just like random asteroids now. Like, genuinely, I think they're just coming out of like left field and just hitting me. What's going on? Why am I losing so many lives? I don't care about this intro. What the fuck? Why am I dying every 30 seconds? What is happening? Am I actually genuinely getting hit by... Oh my god. Kamikaze planes. Love that. Or spaceships. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, okay. Oh, this is fine. This is fine. Just want to get all the boxes. Like, is that hard? Whoa, okay, okay, okay. That's one. Oh my god. Ugh, I can't see. I can't see. I can't see. Okay. Hold on. We're actually getting somewhere. The worst thing is there's no checkpoints. There's literally no checkpoints. If I die, I gotta start this all over again. Which is horrible. I think I saw one more. Okay, there's one over here. Okay. I got the gem. Oh, thank God. Yay, we did it. This is Hello Kitty and Adventure Next. Okay, I know I'm supposed to be positive, but this Looney Tunes game looks horrible, man. I love watching Chugs stream his reactions to Nintendo Direct. Oh, he was streaming it? Nice. I love his appreciation of the stuff that was shown, even if he doesn't know what some of the stuff was. Yeah, he's really good like that. Like, he's definitely really good like that. Among Us, that reminds me that this is getting a fucking TV show. Farmania is fine, I suppose. Oh, yes, I did see that. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD on Switch. Yes. I'm excited for that. I look forward to that. Because that was the only one that wasn't available on Switch. Because Tropical Freeze is, but the Donkey Kong Country Returns wasn't. Because it was a Wii U game, if I'm not mistaken. I'll be looking forward to emulate that one and not giving Nintendo any of my money. Oh, Dragon Quest 3 remastered. Nice, yeah, there we go. Right, let's try. Oh, let's try and attempt a relic. Let's try and attempt a relic for this. Even though it took me like 50 tries. It looks kind of cheap. It looks kind of cheap, but everything looks cheap on the Switch. They slapped a big old game footage not final, so I hope it looks alright. Yeah, if it's in development, it's in development. Whispered the mere idea that you can get games in a non-legal way to gamers, they'll instantly just their pants. I mean, when you put it like that, that's kind of correct. You're not wrong. I mean, if you don't have the I mean, it's easier because there's the access to the hardware. For the most part, anyway. I'm not saying it's like ethical anyway, but like, oh, I don't wish to be hit by things, please. Ow! Can we not get kamikaze? Thanks. Oh my god! Please stop. I'm on 17 health. This is grand. I need health, and I need it now. Okay. So yes, yeah, they're doing 1 and 2 as well, because I think the one of the creators or something was like, yeah, hey, the like the order to play them in is like 3, 1, and 2 or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember. Oh my god, thank you, Scott. Also, Jesus, it's also fucking. But also, thanks, kinda thanks. Oh, I saw that, the Funko World thing. That was like, yeah, that's a bit of a no-no. It's just lovely to see Luco's genuine reactions to things. We just mentioned 2 kind of wag. No wag next. I mean, I'll probably get it because I love Luigi's Mansion. So, was that a platinum? Oh, it was too. Let's go. Right. What do I want to do now? Droid Void. No, we'll do Coral Canyon because that's a swimming level. I love the original Luigi's Mansion, sure, but I don't know. To be honest, I haven't really played the second or the third one, so having the second one come on Switch is very good because I can play those 2. I can play 2 and 3 then. It's like gaming can only be discussed in echo chamber of rage induced circle jerk. I mean, don't mind me, yeah. It's not wholly discussed by people, but like a lot of topics and subjects and hobbies and passions, you're gonna get a few that are just a bit too keen and a bit too overzealous on certain things. It's just the variety of human nature. That's just the way it is. Like, in some cases it's worse than in certain things than others, of course, but you'd be a fool to think like there's ways you can discuss things, you know, there's a category that you can discuss and nobody would question you at all, you know. By the way, don't mind me. I know. It's just you can't have one without the other, you know? You can't have... There is no such thing as a perfect world. You can't have one without the other. It's... You gotta have good and bad. You gotta have good people, like, for the most part, genuine nice people that'll discuss things in a nice manner. Don't be a dick and whatnot, but you're gonna get a few. You're just gonna get a few that are just that type. And it's... The only thing you can do is limit yourself to have those interactions and complications and whatnot, so... If push comes to shove, just don't watch. Just don't watch, or don't, just step away. That goes to me, that goes to anybody. You know, if you think, oh, I don't really like what's happening here, or at this moment in time, then just step away and watch someone else. That's totally fine. I know for a fact I'm not going to please everybody. No, I've accepted that. Play not one of those, right? Well, she fucking tell him. Right, well, she... I have a problem with gaming channels on YouTube that just go on and on and on about the negative aspects of gaming. Yeah, because it gets clicks. That's a whole different ballgame, that is. YouTube stuff. It's because that's what gets them views, and that's what gets them money. Because people will watch it and read it, and then all the ad revenue and all the view time, YouTube pays them for clicks. That's just the way the world works. That's unfortunate. Certain games / game series have really toxic fan / player bases, and I literally have to muck through them to find the good ones. Oh yeah. Like, there's definitely certain, especially in gaming, there's definitely some game series / games that are way, you know, it's way harder to find something half decent, or somebody half decent that will speak some normal sense to you. You know, like you look at like a lot of it. Mind is like multiplayer first-person shooters. You look like Call of Duty, League of Legends. Well, not first-person shooters, but like multiplayer games like League of Legends. Valorant has probably got some toxicity. You know, Call of Duty, Battlefield. You know, like Fortnite. You know, just Apex. It's, you know. But then there's also the bigger franchises like Final Fantasy, and you've got, you know, big juggernaut franchises like Halo and stuff like that, and Tomb Raider, and well, no, maybe it's not so much Tomb Raider because I wouldn't say they're toxic. I'd like to say that a lot of people I've met through Tomb Raider have been very nice people. Sonic, Mario, Zelda. Like it's less likely with games that are single player, but then you get the whole, especially with Final Fantasy, you get the whole like, well, I think a Final Fantasy game should be like Final Fantasy VIII, where you have the job system, you have the junction system and whatnot, and then someone else turns around and goes, well, I think you're full of shit, and it's just like, just they're different styled Final Fantasy games for a reason, just so that people can, okay, just people can like what they like, you know. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Oh, just fuck off. I hate the submarine with a passion. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I think we have to stand for what we believe in, for sure. Like, you know, we have to voice our opinions because we have a voice, and you know, we should definitely use it for good rather than. That's the thing. We should use it for good, or in a good way, and not like propaganda and ram it down people's throats. That like, oh my god, you should never play Resident Evil 4 remake because it's such a terrible imitation of the original, and you should never play it. Leon sucks. Ada sucks. Ashley's worse than she ever is, and it's like, blah 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 blah, and the zombies suck, its gameplay's too easy, it's not even a Resident Evil game. It's just like, bro, just calm down. If you don't like Resident Evil 4 remake, then that's on you. You know, that's fair game. But like, don't spoil everybody else's enjoyment of the game, because that could be their favorite game of all time. It could be their favorite game of all time. It could be their game that they treasure forever, and, you know, buy multiple copies or buy the special edition and buy memorabilia, and then suddenly they're into Resident Evil games all of a sudden. Like, just say what you think in a night, in a just, you know, just say, well, this is what I think, and I've played, you know, 20 hours worth of the game, and I think this. But don't take my opinion as gospel, the only God and only truth. Because if you just take people's opinions literally and just believe everything they say, yeah, it's just not going to end well. You're not going to end up being very happy. You gotta twist your arm. You gotta go, okay, this might cost me £60, but if I can afford it and I want to know if I like it or not, then just go for it. The only way you're gonna know is if you play the game. Watching tutorials and walkthroughs and streams only do so much. I express that every now and then on their channel because they suck. You're one of the good ones. I try. I've definitely done that. I've unsubscribed from gaming channels. That just focus on news. Yeah, exactly. There's no real reason for that. Yeah, I wouldn't. Okay, what the fuck is the temper man? The Bradstreet stores. Exactly. Games are not tailored to just one person. No. You see, I kind of disagree with that. Yeah, you can, yes, like bad things, but you can't just say this game is the best. Like, bro, FF8 has a lot going. Oh yeah, yeah. That's yeah. I'm not saying, like I'm not gonna turn around. I say this jokingly, by the way, but like I'm not. I do sometimes say that, you know, like, hey, I thoroughly enjoyed Sonic 06, even though on a ground level, just strip all my experience and bias from it. It's a bad game. It is a bad game. Like, it's terrible. It's god awful. But yeah, no, I get you can't. Yeah, I get you can't just say this game is the best. Yeah, you got to have a balance for sure, because you. That's what I mean. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't like it when people ram things down your throat when it's completely like in completely one way and they won't acknowledge the other half. You know, like they'll ram down your throat. Sonic 06 is the best game ever made, and it's like, okay, well, that's your opinion, but when you look at it, like when you play the game logically, the game doesn't really play very well at all. Doesn't work. There's outtake voice lines left in the game. The story isn't great. The music is probably probably the only redeeming factor in that game is the music. But yeah, but then you can't just say one thing and then not acknowledge the other, or even like have it in your argument. Like that's what you got to do. You got to have a balance. It's a balance. Yeah. People. Yeah, a lot of people just can't understand that you've got to. You got to look at the negative, like the bad side. And you go, okay, yeah, you know, the gameplay was a bit grindy. It took ages to level up, but I didn't mind it because. But in my opinion, I didn't mind that bad side because the music was nice. I got a lot of battles, encounters. I had good weapons, so the battles were quite easy. And just stuff like that. You know, like if you weigh your options up and you go, oh well, actually, okay, this guy makes a bit more sense because he's actually saying, if you don't want a game that's very grindy, then you're probably not going to like it that much. But the things that counter that said bad point, then yeah. Yeah, Decryption is one of my favorite games, but grindy as fuck. Yeah. Don't gatekeep video game series and stop new people from getting into the series by starting with the newer games. Yeah, it's easy to point people to the newer games because it's the most accessible, but it might not be the definitive experience of said game series. It's very easy for me now. If I wanted to recommend Crash to somebody, it's very easy for me to go, well, I think you should play the Insane trilogy because that's the remake of the first three games, which are traditionally the most critically acclaimed ones. And it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox, you can get it on Switch. It's easily accessible to everybody. But is it my favorite? No, I prefer the originals on PlayStation, on a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. But there's a lot less chance people that actually own a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1. So that's why you tend to have people, like myself included, I'll admit it, that lean more towards the modern versions of games. But if that gets them into, if that allows them then to go, well, actually, I'll go back and and play the older games, then, you know, great. And then they might go, actually, yeah, you're right. The older ones are better than the new ones. You asked me a question. Yes, you can indeed, Jax. Yeah, enjoying Sonic 6 isn't illegal, but just admit your taste and take kind of suck. Suck at that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll happily admit that it's bad. Is it Sonic Boom Rise Electric bad though? Yeah. I haven't played Sonic Boom though, so I can't definitively say, but it's probably on that level, yeah. we can't just not criticize a thing because we like said thing. Then the devs just get away with selling garbage and don't want to live in that world. Yeah, there is also that too. Yeah, but then that's your bias and nostalgia, or you know, your biasy glasses talking to you. Then like getting rose tinted lenses. Kicking in going, well, I actually like that feature, but then everyone else is going, well, it's outdated now. We need something new. And it's like, well, I like it. Yeah. Sonic Boom Rise Electric is literally unplayable as just gently walking up to the NPC and to talk to them can kill. Ah, yes. Good old Sonic Boom. Right, I'm finally home. Welcome home, Ben. You've caught us mid-discussion. Crash 2 is better than every other Crash game. I can agree with you on that. It's definitely my favorite Crash game. But again, like, if you like Crash 1 or Crash 3 or Crash Nitro or this Crash or other Crash games, then that's fine. As long as if you say you like Crash Boom Bang, then I'm going to question you. I will say that. And I'm definitely going to question you. Much as I hate to do that. Hang on, let me just catch up a chat. Take me. One of the worst is trashing games because someone is bad at them. Yeah, when it's player skill, that's a bit like oof. Of course. or like another example of that though, like is like FromSoft games. People like saying, "Oh my god, Elden Ring is so hard. I literally can't get past. I can't get past the first area. I die all the time, and I just can't do it. It sucks. This game is stupid, and it doesn't help me." And then you probably tell them like 2 or 3 things that the game probably told them, and they just didn't read, and then realize that like, oh wait, I can level up. And it's like, oh, okay, you level up, and they're like, oh, I'm one-hitting things now. And it's like, well done. You just learned the game. There's a reason why I don't watch or read reviews anymore, regardless of whether they're positive or negative. I very much prefer to be by my own thoughts as opposed to what other people have told me to think about certain games. Exactly. The only person that knows yourself the best is yourself. You know, like if you know deep down in your heart, okay, I want to play this game. You know. It's like, well, people might say this game is shit, but I like the look of it. Like, you know, because it looks cool, or the character looks quite cool. Or he says something funny in a trailer, or, you know, or like there's a certain, like it shows off gameplay and it's combat and it's like really fluid and cool. And you're like, oh my God, I want to learn those combos, you know, just stuff like that. And it's like, okay. And then that's what gets you in. And then it's like, if you like it, then go for it. Obviously, be financially stable enough to get those, to get it. Obviously, you know, we don't want the last thing we want is people going bankrupt just to buy a game. And about gatekeeping, I think it's garbage all around, but I hate it when people just fucking get into a series without getting it, you know? Like Monster Hunter Rise is such a complete departure from the series because that's what most people want. In making a game everyone wants, you alienate the original fans. If I wanted DMC, I'd play DMC and so forth. Yeah, I know what you mean there. It's like you're neglecting the core fans that were with you from day one, and then just so you can tailor to the general market and sell more, if that makes sense. You know, just to get more revenue and more eyes on the product. Although new COD means on Game Pass might actually be worth it. Free.99 means literally nothing lost when it's a Steam event. Oh shit. Oh yes, yeah, no. That's literally IGN. Yeah, literally IGN just love. They are terrible. I remember when they ripped off a YouTuber who reviewed Dead Cells, I think it was. They literally ripped his review word for word, and then they just read the script over. Mental. Like the gameplay trailers were exactly the same. They said the exact same things he did. I didn't even give him credit for it. It's like okay then. But yeah, like IGN, I never really. Ever since like once I got to like teenager years, like I just don't bother. Remember IGN saying Cuphead was garbage because they couldn't get out the fucking tutorial? Those are the days. Those are the days. FromSoft, Crash, Super Mario. Yeah, exactly. All really hard games. No, I meant Call of Duty for what you said earlier about devs getting away with releasing garbage. Oh, because too many voices are like, this game is great. I love it so much. And he's suck your dick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was that. Another thing. Speaking of Activision, one thing that was very, very cool and very, very Activision, was the whole. Like, they love microtransactions so much that they put it in a Crash Team racing game. Like, that's how much they love microtransactions. Like, they just love it so much. So they put them in a single player. Okay, there's online, but like, you're not going to buy a fucking character that's like, oh my god, he has the best speed. It's a level playing field. Like, oh, I got a new skin. Let me just spend £60 on Wumpa coins. Like, why? Like, I know why, because it's getting some money, but like, bruh. But then again, I remember that too. But then again, IGN is full of morons anyway that actively in the industry. Yes. Especially Elden Ring. Like I explained with Marshy the other day, when we started our co-op, I told him the tree sentinel at the first bonfire is literally a statement to teach players, hey, come back later. Yeah, exactly. It teaches you not everything you kill in the first, not everything in the area that you are in can be killed. You have to like pick your battles and learn. Yeah, Monster Hunter is frustrating and you are supposed to struggle. That's the whole foundation of the series. If most people don't fuck with that, it's losing you money. Don't make it any more simple. But then you get the whole thing like, oh, we want another Monster Hunter game now? And it's like, oh, okay. $70 horse armor! I remember Dead Space 3 being one of the earliest games where microtransactions were a serious complaint. Yeah, EA were pretty bad for that. Yeah, EA and Activision are the worst for microtransactions. Oh, remember Anthem? Remember Anthem? That EA game that was an absolute pile of shit? Remember that game? I played the demo, actually. I played the demo of that game, and it crashed, and I could never get into the game ever again. And thank God I didn't. Because that was a steaming pile of hot dog shit. I mean, in concept, it was amazing. But no. Oh, shit, I'm dead. Fuck Capcom. Yeah, Dead Space 3, yeah. Yeah, Dead Space 3 was probably the first one. What the fuck? Fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Look, I got detonator spin, so I can spin really fast. That was barely a game, honestly. It was bad. Like, I remember playing the beta for it. Like, it was like, okay, go on a mission. You did the tutorial, and I'm like, okay. And you're like in this mech, and literally all I did was fly. I was like, and it's like, this is how you fly. And I'm like, okay. The game crashed, and I was like, okay. Logged, and I couldn't log back in then. It was like, and it was just like, oh yeah, the beta's closed now. And I'm like, ah, okay. So no then. Just no. You don't want me to play this game anymore. Anthem had such promise until EA took the reins. It didn't literally, but it was very forgettable. Yeah, that got put on Game Pass that got put on EA Play as a vaulted game very quickly. Here we go. My point exactly. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. What the fuck? Just make a fucking the Metal Slug game and I think Nintendo next. But the generally now, we all like this. That's the thing. You know, Crash has had it. Spyro's had it. Everybody loves a remaster or a remake now. That's like, it's like, yeah, it's remakes or remasters of like 20-year-old games and Dark Souls from soft games. That seems to be the general sort of rule of thumb for games nowadays. Maybe JRPGs. Sorry, I can add JRPGs to that list as well. Darkest Dungeon 2. Oh yeah, Darkest Dungeon's is alright. Speaking of Nintendo, new Zelda game looks pretty fire. Yeah, I haven't seen a trailer or anything. I've just seen like the cover art. It's quite cool. No one hates video games more than gamers. I mean, we don't hate them. It's just we have such. I think there's just such a desire, and it's so popular now that there's much more opinions on it, and more people have more of a say, and such. If that makes sense, like a desire or of some sorts. It's because we're the most passionate about our art form. Yeah. That's what happens. It tends to happen is our like passion, desire for things and change and pushing the boundary. It goes overboard and turns into like, oh my god, you can't make this game without having this feature. Finally had the biggest out of NSO, guys. Oh, Nintendo Switch Online, the safest bets they could have made. This will save the net. I'm so hyped next. Another island gamed. I'm going insane. Yeah, they are. We're a confusing bunch. Oh, speaking of Soulsborne, I'm officially off work for my vacation starting today. So if you want to do any Elden Ring outside of just Friday/Saturday, feel free to let me know. Cool. No worries. I will, Ben. We'll see how this goes. Is Friday, Saturday okay, or are you on vacation at that point? I didn't really remember that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've definitely missed boxes, haven't I? I have definitely missed boxes here. Captain Brave. Capcom versus games getting re-released. That's neat. Oh, of course I'm one box short. Oh, I've missed one somewhere, haven't I? Fucking damn it. Oh, I hope it's like really close by. I really do. I'm gonna cry otherwise. Ow. That's pretty cool. All good. Oh, you're leaving a week from Thursday? Okay. Some. Yeah, there is. There always will be, Jax, to be honest. See right by jumping gets where it takes me a fucking island. God, you'd hate coming here, Luco, because not to like burst your bubble or anything, but like where we live is an island. So just don't come here, Luco, okay? Because I think you'll get an aneurysm. To be on the one. Oh, I can't go that far back because you start off in the submarine. So if it's in the submarine section, I'm going to be very, very, very displeased. Yep, it's a big island. Yep, it's probably going to be in the bit with the submarine. That's depressing. That is very depressing. So that's... We'll come back to that. That's fine. I don't want to go back through all the level again, to be honest. Oh, we've had trouble with the other submarine level, so don't worry about it, Ben. Oh, I'm dead. Nice. I'm just gonna boogie on down. Oh, is it one of those ones that... Oh, I know sometimes there's levels where, like... I know there's some levels where there's boxes after the loading zone. What should be it? Bro, I don't mind islands, just 95% of the game this decade take place on islands. Have you noticed that? Yeah, kinda. I think there's a theme. They just like the UK, maybe. I don't know. If it's just an island, man, drifting into the sea of space, man. Man. Really? I thought you enjoyed it, Luco. I genuinely thought you enjoyed it. Because Animal Crossing was a hit, now everyone wants to do a fucking island. Ah, nice. Zeld's okay. Sometimes in the old Final Fantasy islands. Yeah, it's fine. I think Luca's just having a meltdown. What is Zelda? Oh, Spirit Tracks was another game you played as Zelda. And the Dynasty games, whatever those are. Whatever the fuck they are. Let's leave Wuthering Heights until last, I think. We'll do Droid Void next.
Is there a draft in here?
Yeah, my window's open. Why are you asking? Ooh, I got new followers on Instagram. They're probably bots. That's cool. Just Dance. I thought that series was dead. I mean, a Zelda title though, and Spirit Tracks is both Link and Zelda. To be fair, this is the first canon game we played exclusively as Zelda. Ooh. So it's mainline games according to Nintendo. Well, there you go. There you go. Heard it here first. Oh boy, I am not looking forward to these levels because these levels suck. Suck, suck, suck. Okay. Yeah, but still a thing. Yeah. Also, Spirit Tracks is one of the worst rated. I'm sure Nintendo would want to forget about that. Yeah, probably. If it's one of their worst. Maybe that's why they're saying it's a first time. Maybe that's why they're saying it's the first time that Zelda's been playable in a game. Because they just want to forget about Spirit Tracks. Also, remember how good Crash was on monkey bars? Yeah, this is how fast you go. So the time trial's going to be fun, right, guys? Right? Yeah? We're going to get a good time. Yeah? Platinum? Mm-hmm. Platinum relic? Oh, we're done. We're done. We're done. Fine. It's fine. We're done. Actually, we're not done because there's more. Oh yeah, we've got alternating lightning on platforms now, which is nice. See? Fine. Perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. It's still canon and mainline. It's the first time she's the sole protagonist. Ah, okay. So an 8-minute slog I'm seeing. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. Until the worst thing is, this is not the only level with monkey bars. So, plenty of fun to look forward to, you know? I do say so myself. Her name is literally on the box. They already did that years ago. I mean, that is true. That is true. You play. It is the Legend of Zelda, and you play as Link. It's not like it was called the Legend of Link, and then all of a sudden, Legend of Zelda. It's like, woohoo! Just like that, it goes. Like that, it looks like we're coming back to the Link to the Past map. Ooh, nice. I am excited for Link to the Past when we play that. Oh, here we go. Droid time. Or droid void time thing, Bobby. This, by the way, this really sucks. I'm trying to aim for the box. It's becoming a bit of an issue. I already see where this is going to go wrong. You can take out enemies. This is fine. Right. shoot it from here. No, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Hang fire. There we go, I guess. Lego Horizon Adventures. Don't remember anybody asking for that. But sure, there you go. All 3 people there enjoy that game still. Congrats. Hey, that looks amazing, actually. That does look a lot of fun. Horizon Lego Adventures. Up. Keep. It's very bad. Lego games were great back then. Back in the day. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, Lego Star Wars and Lego Batman were the shit. Rays coming to Switch? What? Bro, looks like it's running at 20 frames per second, so that's crazy. To be honest, do you know, Luca, you should make your own YouTube channel where you just react to all these things, like live. I think that would make the grandest amount of content. I'm being wholeheartedly genuine here. I think you should do that. Like, wow, like just seeing your reactions in chat and just making me want to, like, just see a full breakdown video of of your reaction to what's going on. I don't know why. I think it'd be funny. Because that's what this world needs, humor. I mean, you'd be literally the only person watching that. True, true. You may as well put them privately and then just send me the link, but, you know. Worth a shot. Am I right? It's worth a shot. Probably is. The Switch runs like a PS2 Slim. Lego Star Wars where it's at, you know? Yes, Ben. The new Lord of the Rings game. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, how the mighty have fallen. Oh, I got invincibility. Go, 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 go. All 5 seconds of it. Go. Go. Yep, there you go. Fun time's over. Oh, checkpoint. Goody. I love I can just avoid these enemies, to be honest. I don't even have to attack them. Oh. I think this one needs a gem path, I think. Not mistaken. Could be wrong. You'd be surprised, Luco. I mean, I've seen weirder shit get pop off on YouTube for being popular, you know, being popular. So I think you're onto something. Okay, real talk. I hate the Ace Attorney investigation games. I know people like them, and one of them was Japanese exclusive. But man, just give us a new good AA game, Capcom. Is that all you want, Luco? Is that all you want? There's always a market for reactions of things, even if it's an angry video games nerd, game nerd style. Yes. If there's one thing that people like, is people getting angry at stupid things. I don't know why. People just enjoy people getting angry. Oh, purple gem path. Yeah, I'll take it. Fuck it, why not? Boom, bam, bam. Why is this music so cool? I will say, this game has a really poor choice of repertoire of vehicles. It's not great. It's not great. It's really not great. Yeah. You can tell why it was quote unquote, like this game is quote unquote, what's the word? Controversial, I guess, to a degree. I mean, when you're saying controversial, it's just not as good. It was a step down when it, you know, shouldn't really have been, but hey. Oh, hi, babe. Hi, the babe. Hello, hello, hello. Just don't go down the grifty YouTube path. That is very true. That's very true. Let me give you a quick shout out. How are you? Hope you're well. Good to see you, as always. Go follow. Great person. Does the retros, all the like Link to the Past randomizer currently at the moment? Definitely go give him a follow. That's good. AA game was the Greater Taste Tourney in 2016. Or revisit game series that they have forgotten about. Looks up Breath of Fire. The first prequel which I'm dead. Neo Danganronpa thingy. Okay, next Romancing Saga remake. Alright, next. Good to see you too. Hope you're having... I'm having a good day, yeah. I'm having a good day. I'm giggling because Luco in chat is watching the Nintendo Direct and he's giving us his live reactions in chat. And it's quite funny. Listen. I don't know why I'm shooting the nitro. I don't know why I'm shooting the nitro because I don't need to shoot the nitro. I'm invincible. Go. Go, 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 go. I have 5 seconds. 5 seconds. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. What's the end? I die. I die now. Oh, that direct was wild. Yeah, I've heard a few things. Not watched it fully myself, to be honest. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Is that what the title is called? Beyond. Damn, dude, explosions and shit is swimming all this time. Kind of like it. I mean, maybe it has its perks. I wouldn't recommend. I would not recommend. Oh, for fuck's sake, I wasn't looking. Looks pretty alright for a Switch game. Nice. Well, that's good, at the very least. Must be a Michael Bay game. That is very true, actually. Yes. If there's explosions, then it's definitely a Michael Bay film. More than likely one of the first 3 Transformers films that they did with Shia LaBeouf. It's probably those. That level of explosions. Well, that was a roller coaster of senses and feeling. Got put through the ringer, did you, Luco? I hope I don't miss the crystal. I really hope I don't miss the crystal. Okay, that was the purple gem path. That's fine. I've already got the crystal for that. Oh, there we go. Oh, there was a checkpoint there. I could have just hit that and gone back. Never mind. That's fine. I think I could jump on those. I'm not too sure though. Bonk. Thank you. Don't you love it when a game's just like doesn't want to show you where the path is? You just gotta like hope and fucking pray. Hey, nice. Did I get a crystal? Yes, I did. Oh look, it's a disco. So we got all the things, all the things. Well, that was yeah. Metroid Prime 4 is most definitely also going to be on the Switch too. Yeah, I think that would be a solid title, launch title on the Switch too, for sure. But it was pretty meh with some very nice announcements. So I give it a solid. It was aight. Well, the way it started, I thought you were going to be like, this whole direct sucks. I wish Nintendo would go away. But, you know, it had you in the first half, I guess, and then brought it back. This Switch really needs to die already. Ah, there we go. Okay, so let's do a Coco level. Well, I thought it was going to be like that too. Hey, you know, sometimes it's good to be pleasantly surprised, you know? Sometimes it's good to be pleasantly surprised. Oh, yeah, shock horror. Shock horror. Yeah, that's what I thought it would be like as well. The negative Nancy that he is. Boing. Oh, I forget Coco doesn't have double jump. It's a bit silly. That's fine. Music slaps though. Oh, wait, how was I meant to get to that? Did I jump wrong? Oh, God. Let's die. Oh, donk. Nice. And even though I would still want him to implode into 1,000 suns, I kind of like the fact that they finally did something with Metroid Prime 4 without being just a fucking logo. Yeah. Yeah. It worked out in the end, then. I'm not a negative Nancy, I'm a cynical asshole. Thank you very much. Yes, you do like to keep us in check with your cynicism. Oh, there we go. That's how you do it. Is it backward, forward I gotta go, or is it backwards? Shit. Well, I mean, I think it's this way. It's like the Switch is actively holding these franchises back. Do you think? Or because they're not focusing on like high graphics, it's more like family friendly sort of style and like handheld. Oh shit. Okay, this is fine. You're playing with the you're playing the Ocarina of Time randomizer again? Nice. Love to see it. It has a fun gimmick, sure, but no, it's no PC. You know, the actual master race of gaming. Ah, yes. The old PC master race debate. I want to watch. You want to watch Ben do randomizing? Well, he's off work now, so you can tune to his heart's content. I'm not talking about graphics. I'm just talking about them focusing on making games portable while running out like absolute bullshit. So sacrificing like mobility for sacrificing like performance for mobility. You mean? Ah, the memes that came from that debate. Yes. Yes. Lives on forevermore. Well, I'm not getting the secret gem, that's for certain. Oh my god, I can't turn. I missed 2. There's a crying shame. One box. Both on that slope too. It doesn't surprise me. I thought the avalanche would break the boxes, but I guess not. Unless it was something. Tears of the Kingdom not ringing a solid 30 FPS is just a fucking disgrace. And don't even get me started on Pokemon. Like, I don't care how much of a fanboy you are, you can't argue with me that those were good things. I can't comment because I'm not Pokemon fans or Tears of the Kingdom fans, so I can't argue. I can't argue for or against, to be honest. Oh, we'll come back to that later. I don't want to worry about that now. Let's just get through this game. Wuthering Heights.
Not used to the weather here, are you, wimp?
I am. It's just... well, you're giving money to something that runs like garbage because it has a brand you really like attached to it, and that's literally simping. Oh, so basically Apple. Yeah, okay. Fair. Apple too. Fuck that. Sorry, Apple users. But not really. It's never really been one for me. Like, they were cool as like, I remember having the iPod Touch as a kid and whatnot, and it was really cool, but I wouldn't have an iPhone. This music, though? Hold on. Look how much this slaps. What we got? Oh, look, you come out with some stuff sometimes, honestly. Ah, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Fuck's sake. My bad. I don't like CDM. Hold up. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Bum, 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 bum. Oh. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, dum, bum, bum. Oh shit, okay, okay. I see. I sense what I have to do. Yeah. Got 99 lives. But Bandicoot ain't one. Oh look! I need to use the sneaking shoes. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that's fine. Doesn't look icy to me. Nice. I gotta do all that again. Oh, that's painful. That is painful. Oof. Yep, that's a big old oof. That's a big old. Luckily, I don't have to do the bonus level again. Oh shit! Okay, I forgot about that. You don't look like you're having a lot of fun playing this. Well, put it this way, I'm not. It's not as fun as the other Crash games that I played. I forgot about that. I forgot if you try and double jump, it takes you off the. Yeah. Anywho, it's fine. I'm fine. I think I'm more concerned about revisiting these levels and doing the time trials. That's what I'm more concerned about. Do these levels fast, and trying to speedrun these levels, as a non-professional speedrunner, is going to be a bit of a challenge. That's unfortunate. May I suggest you play a game only I will enjoy watching you play? Nobody else? I mean, you can suggest it, but it'll go every other suggestion made by yourself, and that's the bottom of the pile. Did I say that out loud? Did I say that out loud? I think I did, didn't I? Well, well, yeah. I mean, you can't fault me. You can't fault me for not lying, right? We love them bottoms. Apple bottom jeans, am I right? Boots with the fur. Sure, that's what I meant, yeah. Sure. Alright, here we go. Wait, do you go faster sideways on the monkey bars than... That makes no sense if that's the case. Don't get caught by that tractor beam. I will die. Checkpoint. Nice. Oh, that's what I meant. Definitely the gay slang, guys. And I mean, happy Pride. Yes, happy Pride Month. Yes, yes, you do go faster diagonally. But I was running in a straight line, like, across, so it didn't make much sense. I forgot, I can't believe how much of a banger this song is. Oh, Ness got the gem. Let's go. Okay, time for the last elemental gimmick crunch fight. This game doesn't make much sense, bro. No. It's not meant to. It just exists. I think you just really hate the game. This game, I forgot it has any good qualities attached to it. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You got me. You got me, Luco. You got me. You got me. I will not. I will admit. I will not lie. This is the second time I've gotten this far in a game. In this game. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I'm enjoying it less, because I've not experienced these levels frequently like I did, like the first levels, as I did as a kid.
Time to earn your wings, kid.
I can't fly though. It's 2 times farther than I've played this game. Or do you get to the second warp room? Right? I give up level 2. Or warp the second warp room, or just the second actual level. Because if it's the second warp area, then that's where I got to as a kid. I couldn't get past that boss. What buttons do I have to press again? Why am I not moving? Okay. Barrel. Right. No, the second actual level. Nice. Nice. I mean, that's understandable, to be honest. I think that's the bamboozled level? Oh no, is that the Tornado Alley? That's Tornado Alley, I think, second level. This way? Oh, that was unfortunate. So it turns out this boss has individual health bars, actually. Once you damage certain areas long enough, the crunch won't do those attacks anymore. So all you got to do is just hit them with your plane, which is the same plane that you have in Tornado Alley in the second level, sorry. In the middle. And then, yeah. So now, so if I damage this part enough, he won't do that attack anymore. So even though he only has one health bar, he actually has like, technically he has like multiple, because it depends on the attacks he does. Depends on how much damage you do on per attack. On one of his, you know. I don't make much sense anymore. There is a better way of attacking that, but I'm just not very good with. I was gonna say, why show that player information? Why show that information to the player? Fuck it all. Fuck it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got the health bar. That's all you need, right? I mean, realistically, it's a very minor thing. I think it's not like, you know, you're just aiming at the pieces that Aku Aku is highlighting. So it's like, okay, and then you see his health bar going down. It's like, okay, it's going down. And then once it goes down to empty, see, that's why you don't get caught in that beam. So look at my health. My health just skyrocketed down. And now he's doing this attack again. Okay, now he stopped. Now he's only limiting himself to the beam attack, which is this one, because that's the one I've done least damage on. Yeah, he's literally all the other attacks I've done enough damage that he doesn't do it again. But with this one I haven't. So I think maybe yes, yeah. So literally he's he's nearly dead. Come on. There we go. Oh, nice. Ad break as soon as the boss finishes. I know, but if you knew what you could make a move not work anymore, you'd try different strats. True, I suppose it would change how you approach a fight, I guess. Because you would probably, if you knew that, you would probably take out the beam first, so that it's because that's the most damaging of attacks, and then move on to the lesser damaging ones, and you can just focus on them. That's the thing from JRPGs, particularly bosses that have multiple targets. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, was it FF7 had that with is it Bizarro, Safer Sephiroth, where the different body parts had different health bars. You know, the head and the body and the stomach and then the chest. We had to get the body to the chest to open the body up to get to the head, that kind of stuff. We got a fruit bazooka. Can I use it? Oh no, it's only in game. It's only in levels I can use it, actually, I think. Nah, bro, I feel like making a garbage game today. Let's waste our publishers' money and credibility away. Zafir Sephiroth? Huh. I wonder how they're going to remake that. Well. I mean, we haven't seen it in that particular... Well, obviously, part 2 hasn't got to that point in the story. But I will say no more. Because I don't want to spoil Rebirth. I think this is the only time we don't get a cutscene from when we leave the warp room, I think. But I'm going to wait until the ads finish, because I've got about another 30 seconds. Grandia did it better than FF7 did, honestly. And if you defeat one of its parts, it make the others act faster. Ah, okay, that's pretty cool, actually. That's really cool. Disc 2 of FF7 is so boring. I wonder how people got through Rebirth at all. I wonder. I wonder. Indeed. Oh yeah, you don't get a cutscene. You actually don't get a cutscene in the middle bit. You don't actually get a cutscene now. Forgot. Okay. Final warp room. We've got Crash and Burn, Gold Rush, Medieval Madness, Crate Balls of Fire, and Cortex Vortex. So I think we're going to do Medieval Madness first. What did they add? Tell me, tell me. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying anything. You got to play the game, Luco. I can't just give you the story.
Well, here we are again. I wouldn't necessarily call this irony, but don't you find it a little odd that we keep meeting under the same domination circumstances? Why not just give up?
I'd rather be a cow than a spoil sport.
Once.
I'd rather be a cow than a spoil sport.
Don't worry, Dr. Cortex. Now that my elemental powers have reached maximum capacity, this little geek is gonna wish he was never created.
See? Crunch's elemental powers are at maximum capacity. Wink. We've got no chance. Well, you chose your poison. I did. I chose my grave and I'm gonna lie in it. The literal worst poison, but you chose it. Is it though? Is it though? I think spoiling a game for somebody is worse than not telling them. Might be the minority in that regard, but what do I know? I'm just some random person that plays video games for a living. Well, not for a living, but as a pastime. I mean, I might not play the game regardless. Yeah, but that's not the point. I mean, if you spoil yourself, fair game. Like then I would probably like if you went and watched a walkthrough of some stuff, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I know what happens at the end of Rebirth, or I know what happens here, here, and here. Then I would be more inclined to telling you, but. All you're doing is making my life mildly more annoying than it would be otherwise, I guess. But exert effort now to find out. I know. Exerting effort is not strong suit. I'd start again. No, because we imagine having to do something to get rewarded. Crazy. How many hours of cutscenes are there? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. I don't know the exact hours. You'd have to look. I think I did see. I remember seeing a video of the full game, just all cutscenes of Rebirth, but I can't remember what the time was, or the length of time was. All right, new randomizer scene set up. This one's a doozy, but hopefully it won't be as painful as Shadow Tag was. Ooh, let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for you. I hope it goes well though, then. I remember this level being an absolute fucking pain in the ass. Imagine actually playing a video game. I know, right? Imagine. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. What even is video games? Imagine playing a video game that I don't want just so I could say, wow, I didn't want to play that after all. Just so just hey. Damn, now that's a strat. Damn, Lucas going full big brain time, huh? I turned on one-hit KO for this one, Welshie. Oh, did you? Ooh. So basically like hardcore mode. Yeesh. I mean, I'm surprised it's taken this long, to be honest. I am genuinely surprised. Also, bonk damage, so if I bonk my head, I die of concussed donkness. Oh. Oh, no. Ouch. So, oh yeah, and it's one-hit KO, so literally you can't roll into any walls. That is rough going. Exactly, it'll be fun. Yeah. So I'm getting extra spicy and crispy. Ooh. It does seem that way. Ah, look how it does seem that way. You didn't read the reason why? My math teacher told me I have big brain today, so I'm feeling extra spicy. Ah, okay. And that's one way of yeah, checks out. That certainly checks out. Hate math, man. Good old mathematics. I guess I have something I can say I'm good at. I mean, if you're good at maths, that's pretty good going, because that's pretty important. Let's see. Also, my account was billed today for my pre-order of Shadow of the Erdtree, which should mean my goodies will be here by Friday. Ooh, nice. Excited, I bet you're excited for the DLC. Oh yeah, I'm playing Elden Ring, I guess. Really? Nice, Nico, nice. I was gonna buy it for you. Oh, that's a very nice present. It's a very nice present indeed. Bro, 30 hours of cutscene. Yeah. I had a funny feeling it was that much. It's a big game. A big old game. No, scratch that. 45. Jesus. Are you basically watching the full playthrough of the game? I suppose some of the cutscenes are in-game. That checks out. That's the crystal. Okay, I think that's where I need to go. I was lucky. I have guaranteed to have missed a few boxes. I think I've missed a few boxes. Alright, fine. Nah, man, 2 days of watching a thing. I mean, it pretty is. You get 3 hours break if you watch it flat out. Or paying all the money I make in a month for getting the actual games. I mean, you could just watch it in like periodically. Or you could just watch my YouTube channel, because I have a full playthrough of Rebirth on there. You could do that. Not that I'm plugging my YouTube or anything, but, you know. Let's do a time trial. I could do a time trial. I'll just force myself to grow disinterested. There you go. There you go. Alright. Let's do the time trial. It's fucking this side for some reason. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Fucking zoomies. Got the zoomies. Dun, 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 dun. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I definitely took the long way around. Holy shit. Yep. Nice. Final Fantasy team has had gloves up at this point in crafting a choice. It's convoluted. It's still the Kingdom Hearts. Have you just made that up, or have you just read that somewhere? Fuck off, Tiny. Yeah, we'll just leave that for now. Just watching the atmosphere spin so many times is making my eyes hurt. Are you reading it from a site? Oh, okay. Convoluted and confusing. I mean, I wouldn't say that. Rebirth. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say it's convoluted or confusing. It's just I don't think people like the whole like, oh, which one is real, or you know, like the whole like multiple convergences of worlds and stuff. You don't like playing with Crash's balls? No, I don't. Not on a Tuesday anyway. You wouldn't say that because you wouldn't want Square to keep making HD TiVo models. Well, off to kinky jail I go then. Yes, I'm on to you, mister. I'll just hand myself in now, shall I? Get it over and done with. But would I be right? But would I be right in saying, look, that you would want HD models of continuing to make HD models of, let's just say, a Chun-Li or a Cammy, perhaps? I'm just throwing it out there, though. You know, I'm not saying for definite, but. No. If that's the case, then I am as well onto you, mister. But I'm sure a well-established fellow like yourself would disagree with me there. No, you would not. You would be correct. You would be correct on saying I want Capcom to make Chanley and Cammy real. Ah, get your facts straight. Yeah, my bad. I will be providing rigorous feedback to my fact supplier. I'll tell him to get it right next time. Is that okay? Is that okay, Mr. Luco? Please do. I've been getting really annoying emails. Ah, okay. Sorry about that. I will get in contact with them personally in due course. And then proceed to tell them that to keep sending you emails. Yeah, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. I should have died there, but it's fine. And tell them to buy me some Burger King. I'll remember to put that on the email. At least my credibility to dinner before fucking it raw on the stairs leading to eating. At least take my credibility to dinner before fucking it raw on the stairs leading to its room. Want to go out with a bang, do you, Luca? Is that right? Also, my Shunarawi and Terry confirmed. Yes, I did see that. I did see that. And install Street Fighter 6 sexual mod. Alright. Death route time. Oh. Did I just fall through the platform, nearly? That was interesting. Nearly clipped through the entire floor. Would have been very bad. How the fuck are you meant to notice where you are? You just guess it. Yeah, I gathered. I gathered you just do that. Speaking of mods, you can't wait to use mods for Cyberpunk? You getting a PC then? You just wing it. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, the thing pushes you off. It's kind of wild. Oh, okay. I did Death Tornado spin, and then it's like, nope. Not today, Satan. Not today. Oh, thank God I got an Akaraku. Let's go. It's like, yeah, let me use one of the main mechanics of the Crash Bandicoot series. No, sorry. Let me just stop you mid-spin there. Yeah, immediate death. Yeah, exactly. Just immediate death. I'm just not going to attack anything anymore. Okay. Like, because it's a dynamic... The fuck you meant? Oh my god, dude. Okay, definitely spin. Okay. Nice, I like that. It's still very much in the planning stages. Ah, okay. And don't forget to see what the minimum specs for Cyberpunk are, or it's going to be a waste of money. And pay attention to your PC power supply unit specs, please. Trust me, you do not want to live in that world. Yes. For once on stream, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but yes, Luco is correct. Oh, you're getting ultra bad boy mode. Nice, nice. Nice. But maybe not ray. Yeah, ray tracing I wouldn't say is that important. That was loud. Agreeing is tracing. Yes, yes indeed. Yeah, why can't he just draw like a normal person would? Why does he have to trace? Making my games bigger for no real benefit. Hey, I got the red gem and I got the clear gem. Nice. Oh, now I can get the secret power-up from Banzai Bonsai. Because I have the red gem. The only other thing I'm going to be doing on my PC is video editing. Ah, that's fair. That's fair. Yes, you want a decent, half-decent decent PC then. That gem looked transparent. That's how red the stage was. Yeah. It did look transparent, in all fairness to it. But here, it's red. It's clear red. It's solid red. Look at that. Crate balls of fire. Yeah, we'll do Gold Rush. I think this one has the yellow gem. So that's quite cool. That's interesting. The last two color gems are in the last warp room.
Bring it, brain-dead Bandicoot.
I don't know what he said. What did he say? Probably something. Some evil villain monologue of some sort. Oh, how is the project that you're working on, Jax, by the way? I know you said you're working on a little something. Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely get a graphics card. Like get a good graphics card. Don't use like integrated graphics. You'll definitely not start playing video games on that. Ever. You gotta resist the urge, Jax. Don't turn into Luco. First, I'm thinking about transferring it to PC. Transferring it onto PC. Wow. Another console player lost to the PC world. F's in chat. F's in chat. F to pay respects. Yeah. I don't have the video project, right? Oh, the video project, right? Okay. I thought you meant like just gaming in general. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, fuck consoles. Woo. Oh look, yeah, look at, so this level has 209 boxes. So this could easily be mistaken for a level in Crash 4 It's About Time. Because like the first couple levels have about that much. Oh, I forget I have the wait, how do I use the, oh, it's L1 to use the, I forget I have a fruit bazooka now. How can I know I hear you cry. How can you forget that you have a fruit bazooka? But I can. And I did. Man, this lighting is kind of awful. I can barely see Crash in this. Can you? When the lighting's kind of too much orange? Well, it's like a Western style level, so I can kind of understand. It went for like a yellowy sort of. Fuck that, when it comes to gaming, it's going to be used for Cyberpunk mods. Yeah. I know. But gaming-wise, it's only going to be used for one game and one game only. Oh yay, more monkey bars. Love monkey bars. Love monkey bars. Love monkey bars. Well, I mean, you already have the controller, so might as well. That's how it begins. Yeah, I would say use a Xbox controller. As it's more universally it's just plug and play, honestly. Oh, I'm only going to play in this one game, and maybe this other one, and that one, and that one, other one. Oh, no, I missed the box because I was incompetent. Fuck my life. How do I pump? Oh, it's X. Well, I'm just going to straight up die here. Oh, wait, no, I can't do the death route. Shit. Okay, this is a problem. Actually, no. Let's just get the gold. Let's just get the yellow gem, and then be done with. And then we'll get that, and then we'll figure out the clear gem another time. PS5 is plug and play too, is it? Oh, I haven't really properly tried a PS5 controller. I know Xbox is pretty good because obviously with Windows, the Xbox app is already on there and it just picks it up, detects it straight away. So I have no dramas with I have no dramas with Xbox. I can't say I've properly tried a PS5 controller. Hey, if you know, you got DualSense. If it's say if it's DualSense support, then why not? All right, death route time. DualSense support, is that properly added to Cyberpunk as an actual update? Oh, that's nice. Now, if I'm not mistaken, A pretty cool thing you can do with this gem route is you can actually shoot the gem from afar and get it without actually touching it. I know, it sounds kind of crazy. Hear me out. So, I shall demonstrate. Voila! Literally don't even need it. So with as soon as you get the bazooka, you literally just shoot. You shoot the gem and you get it. Easy as pie. We got a smart ass in chat. Well, actually. Yeah, I hate the bazooka's an upgrade because of that. Yeah, it makes you basically, it just makes you not do platforming now. So you can be like, well, I can just shoot things from afar. I don't think that is I don't think that's a... I think you can do that in Crash 3 though. I don't think. Don't think you can do that. Yeah, you get the bazooka in Crash 3. Yeah, you do, but it's only used. I think you can only use it for against enemies. You can't actually shoot like crystals or gems and get them from far away distances. I might be wrong. I'm not sure. I think the bazooka is literally what's holding me back from liking Crash 3. Well, oh right, the vehicle levels. Never mind. Yes, the dastardly vehicle levels. Honestly, I think the one you probably have the most trouble with is the bike levels, the bike races. Oh yeah, you can shoot boxes and get rid of enemies, so it makes like platforming a lot easier. You can definitely, yeah, that's a thing. That's a staple. It is definitely a thing. So like now I can be like, well, I'm just gonna aim at you. Oh, I can't take you out. Oh, that sucks. Fuck. The jet ski ones are pure pain? Were they? Are they? I think they're alright. Huh? I have more trouble with the bike levels. Bike races. Because one of them, well, particularly the second one, is just obnoxiously hard for no reason. Why do the non-explosive TNT bananas kill you? That's a very good question. I think the way the TNT dynamite pops out the ground works in this level is, I think the sprite, like, you basically only take damage when it pops out of the ground. So when it actually explodes, you can just run past it, I think. I'm pretty sure when I was like watching a speedrunner, someone speedrun the game, they said, they were like, oh yeah, by the way, like, you just gotta watch, as long as it doesn't pop up out of the ground, when you go near it, like, you're fine. I don't know why they programmed it that way, but they just did. Really? Oh, so bullshit is what you mean? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Platforming nonsense, as I wasn't what I would put it down to. Oh. I'm one box short. Again, just. Plus, I fully tapped out on all I could really do in Cyberpunk on console. The only other thing I could do is play Cyberpunk on Xbox for over 1,000 hours, but since they're pretty much the same, there wouldn't be really any point in doing that. So playing with mods are the only real way of doing something really different. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, playing on consoles are pretty much going to be the same versions. Speaking of speedrunning, why aren't you speedrunning on anymore? It's the one you didn't jump on? Oh, right. No, I know the which one. It was one on the minecart. Yeah. I missed the one on the minecart start. Yeah. I didn't know what the jump button was. That's why. There's me like, why did I get all the boxes? And 5 minutes before I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna get all the boxes. Speaking of speedrunning, why aren't you speedrunning anymore? I just don't find it. I don't know. Don't know. Can I hear the game? Okay. It's just one of the things that's fallen by the wayside, I think, for now. Unfortunately. I've been trying to, like, not restrict, but, like, because I work from home anyway, and I work from on, like, literally on this desk for, like, most of the day. I try to... Okay. I try to, like, limit as much as I can. You know, if I can go outside and go for a walk and stuff like that, then I will. Just to get some fresh air and away time from the desk. So, and that's been more of a priority than speedrunning, really. Like, if I didn't have a job, then I probably would do more speedruns because I would have more. I'd have more hours in the day to do stuff like that. No, I don't hate people who do speedruns because I watch loads of people who do speedruns. And like, I love the concept of it. It's just, I don't know, like, sometimes I frustrate myself. I get too worked up over something I shouldn't get worked up over. Like, if I'm speedrunning, if I slip on it, if I don't do a level I think is, like, right, you know, or if I go a little bit slower than normal, like, after a few runs, then I just get frustrated and annoyed by myself because I'm like, oh, I should do better than this now. And then if I'm not seeing the improvement, and I know a lot of the time the improvement is down to me and not, like, the RNG of the game, so to speak. So, and that does tend to get to me, and I would, yeah, probably it does drain me mentally. But yeah, I mean, I say I love to do more. I love to do more. I say I love watching, you know, Europe ESA. I love watching games done quick. You know, they're always a great time. You know, watching the streams or the YouTube VODs of certain games that I love. You know, I just find myself to be more. I just find that I enjoy myself more being a watcher than an actual player. You know, less stress. I guess it goes against your brand or something. No, I wouldn't say that. I like to try things, but like, I just don't want to be. The last thing I want to be is be stuck in my room. Not stuck in my room, but like, forcibly just sitting in my room 99% of the day, 9% of the time. It's just not healthy for me to do that. In my eyes, it's just not healthy. Oh, so raging is part of your brand? Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's not like the forefront, but like I do tend to get annoyed at things. I mean, I swear a lot for a start. You never see me rage? Yeah, well, I suppose there's different levels, isn't there? Like, I get, like, quietly frustrated, I guess, with games. This was your best experience you're like in this, like, crazy. But it, all joking, also, but in all seriousness, taking a look at the mods for Cyberpunk is what pushed me over the edge. Plus, I did have a PC a while back, but it wasn't up to date. Ah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. I get pretty worked up too. I just don't care. I rage quit MMX and Mega Man X2 the other day. Hate Agile, man. Yeah, see, like, yeah, I have a really annoying thing that I expect more of myself when I've put like. Not next to no effort in, but like I'll do like one run and then I'm like, yeah, I expect like to PB every time. It's like, you know, I expect better for myself. And I'm like, okay, I've learned this now. I should be better now. Why am I not improving? I might have not been around since the beginning, but I've been around, getting frustrated. Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I would have gotten slightly angry. I think my rage is just silence. You know? I think if I'm stunned into silence, then that's kind of my rage. Mainly because I can't scream the house down, but like, you know, because there's people sleeping in my household right now, so I can't be too loud. So it's more of like a visual rage than a audible rage, if that makes sense. Stepping stone, sure, yeah. Apparently someone made a ROM hack for Ocarina of Time that turns the game into a roguelike. Oh. Well now. I'm surprised you didn't know that already, Ben. Oh, you want to be rewarded that effort? Welcome to being human. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you know, minimal effort for maximum reward, right? But then, like, I know with work, I do. No, I think it's because maybe it's because it's not a necessity. Like, okay, whatever. Like, speedrunning is not is just a hobby, or slash passion. Not yeah, I wouldn't say a passion actually, because I'm not dedicated enough. But because it's like an interest slash hobby of mine. I don't know. I'm just not willing to put the graft in, I guess. Like I said, I'm my own worst enemy, so. I just don't want to stretch myself too thin with doing speedruns, and then I know I don't have to stream 5-6 days a week, 7 days a week, or whatever it is, but maybe doing a completely different speedrun might help. I don't know. Not doing a crash game, maybe, because that will probably be what raises my expectation of myself even more. If I speedrun a crash game, it's like, oh well, you've played Crash all your life, so you should just know this like the back of your hand. You know what I mean? I don't know. Raging is having a fit. Well, shutting the fuck up when you're in rage is what more people should do. True. True. As my mum would say, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right. Oh, nice. Platforms that are off screen and I can't see. Nice. Good stuff. Crystal. To be honest, I'm not really too fussed about the box at the moment. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Speedrun Ape Escape 1? I mean, not a bad shout, actually. I'd imagine people do speedrun that game. I'll think of it. I'll have to see what it's like, because that would be a longer. Would it be a longer speedrun than Crash? Probably would, actually. There's more. I don't know. Rage, noun, definition, violent explosive anger, synonym, anger, similar, anger, a fit of anger, furious intensity as a storm of disease, as of a storm or disease. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I try not to rage, because it's just, yeah. It's just not worth the energy to rage. Explosive. And it's only been out for 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, okay.
Crash, you've been a naughty boy, but now that's going to end.
So you're literally by definition not raging. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's frustration, I suppose. Yeah, rather than raging. Yeah, frustration, annoyance. Annoyed. Oh, I tell you what like probably got me close to not raging but like pissed off was Dark Souls 3 actually. Missing the dragon when I was with Ben. I went into his world and I went to hit the dragon. I didn't even press the attack button. I just fell and died. I literally, at that moment, I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I know it sounds stupid and a bit pathetic, but yeah. You made a video that, yeah, I know you did. I know that was funny. It was funny, to be fair. Looking back at it now, it was funny. Obviously, you know, Ben was there laughing, and yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a good time. I think that's what helps. I think that's what helps, you know. When you have friends, you know, if you're playing with friends and whatnot. It's just to ease the burden, you know. You know what's it's good. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I lost a shit ton of souls from not hitting that. Oh no, you made a fool of yourself on the internet, Welshie. Whatever we will do. I know, right? That's literally what the internet's for, isn't it? Making a mockery of yourself. The internet's going to make you into a villain no matter what anyway. At least we'll be horny and raging while you do it. I mean, yeah, you are right in a sense that however you put it, however which way you spin a narrative or something, the internet will always try and find a way to vilify you. Oh, ad break. And just don't do anything illegal and you'll be fine. Exactly. Exactly. Just got to do our best. No, I just don't want. Yeah. Like nobody cares if you rage on the Dark Souls 3 playthrough. Fuck it. I think people would commend people for raging, I suppose. I think that breaks TOS, but okay. I'm pretty sure that breaks terms of service, so I get banned from streaming for that. Yeah, or you could just not. You could just not play Souls-like games. Yeah, exactly. I could just not do it. Then you'd be classed as somebody who doesn't listen to their audience that want to play. What? You're not listening to chat, and you're not giving what the people, what chat wants. You could be told that. I'm not saying I've been told that. No? You could be told, like, oh my god, why aren't you playing these games? You should play these games. Play these games. It's like, okay. It's like, if it interests me, yes, I will think about it and play it and schedule it somehow. But if I don't like the look of it, I probably won't play it. Please show it. True. That's true. If I go by that logic, I'm not going to play anything I like. Do you think I liked playing Arch-Tempered Volcano? Exactly. Oh, for fuck's sake. Welcome back to the ads, everybody. Oh, for fuck's sake, I didn't think I was going to hit that underneath that. I choose not to play those kind of games. Then again, I don't have an audience to adhere to. That's the thing. Peer pressure is a thing. Like, peer pressure is definitely a thing. Like, when the voices of chat, like, when your audience, the noise of your audience grow louder and louder to play a certain game, the more likely you are to probably fold and be like, oh, okay, I'll play this game because chat thinks I will like this game. I will play this game. Not because I think I like this game, because chat thinks I like this game. It takes someone of incredible mental strength and will to go, no. To go, you know what? No, I'm going to play what I like, and that's final. To be fair, the only time I've actually put it to chat is, I think it was when we played, well, I gave the options for, well, like Mega Man and stuff like that, when we played those games. Do you think I like playing Disc 2 of Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 2? To be fair, I don't play Final Fantasy 2. I don't think a lot of people play Final Fantasy 2, to be honest. But my point still stands. Yeah. When the audience speaks, it's best to give what the audience wants. Yeah, but then you're running the risk of not being happy yourself. Because then if you're just adhering to what chat said, what your audience says, then you're not adhering to what you think, or you yourself think. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, only you know yourself better. You yourself know yourself better than anybody else. Because for all we know, I know, your audience could then, I mean, I doubt like they would, but like your audience then could manipulate you, being like, well, oh, he said that, oh, he's played this, well, he's listened to us to play this game, we should tell him to play this game next. And even though he might not like it, he'll still play it because we told him to play, and he might feel guilty if we don't play it. He'll feel guilty, he might feel guilty on it for us that he's not playing it. But really, I say it was okay. I just looked down upon for trying something different. That's just literal pain in his cartridge for. Here's the thing: you're both treating this as if it's a black and white thing. There's always a grey area as such a compromise. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's always a compromise. You could do like, okay, well, I'm gonna play these games, but here's a compromise. I will, like, one game, like, say I pick 3 games. One of those games will be a game that the audience picks or the chat picks, and then it gets fitted into rotation. Or like I did before, I put a vote. I did a community thing where it's like, okay, if you want me to play Liza, I'm tempted to play Lies of P. If you want me to play Lies of P, then use your channel points. And you did. So we played Lies of P. There's definitely multiple ways of finding a compromise to things. People don't mind Final Fantasy trying different shit if that different shit is good. You can play what chat wants and what you want at the same time. Oh my god, yes. Yeah, or just find or find an alternative. Yeah. Just do that. You could just find an alternative. Yeah, you can be like, well, I'm not. Yeah, you could be like, then, well, I don't like the sound of this game, but I do like the look of this game, which I'm told is very similar to what you recommend, what chat recommends. You know, and then you'd be like, would it be okay if we play this game instead? It's like, and if chat agrees, chat agrees. Job done. Or just don't listen to chat like I do. That's why I have a long viewership reward for as those people who would have the option to pick a future stream game, be it good or bad. Yeah, I could do that actually. Yeah, at that and also the channel point redemption thing as well. You could do both. You should play ABC. Yeah, I should. Never does it ever again. Hey, I played Mega Man, thank you very much. I did play a game you recommended me to play. I didn't completely blank you. Granted, I played the wrong Mega Man game, but... That's essentially what I said. You can put the suggestion up for vote or for a channel point redemption and then take it into consideration. Yeah. I might do that then. I told you, hey, start with MM4. Sure, starts with the hardest one. You know, that's how we go. That's about right, to be honest. I don't do things by half. Oh look, all 5 seconds of my power up. Thank you. I was one box short. Ah, of course I was. Last thing we want you to do is to strong arm you into playing a game. Yeah, I know that. I know that. It's just not nice to be forced into playing a game. I set it at a high and lofty goal of 100k channel points, so it can be so it can't be easily achieved. Okay, yeah, that's probably something I'll have to. Yeah, or you could just be like Ben and just be like, look, you're playing co-op right now, or I'm just gonna like expose you. It's like I got no choice at that point, so literally I have no choice. Next time I'll say, hey, don't start with this game, that will ease you into the series. Yeah, I know. I bet once we play Mega Man 4, I'll be like, fuck, this game is so much easier than 5, and you'll be like, It's just,
Congratulations, Crash.
they were like, I fucking told you.
Not only have you collected all the crystals in record time, but you also defeated the elementals. Let Crunch and me be the first ones to congratulate you.
By pummeling your sad Bandicoot.
He threatened you with the release of the video of what happened at Wendy's. True. Yeah, he did. He did. At least he finished it. Yeah, that is true. After I found out the rewind button, yeah. Which Luca was like, yeah, that's a button, and I'm like, oh, is it? And I'm like, oh, it is too, yeah. And then just like made the game almost trivial. But I did die loads. At least you finished it, I guess. I know. Can't please everybody, right? Can't please everybody. Okay. Nice. Bing. Yeah. So the whole purpose. So this is the final fight. So we fight Crunch, who is being controlled by Dr. Neo Cortex. And also using the elementals. But once we hit him with the Wumpa rocket, he's free of Cortex's control, and he basically punches him so you can hit him. Nice. Not super keen on you and just rewinding every 2 seconds, but you did well. Yeah, but that was only like the last couple. That was like the last set of stages with like the Dr. Wily Castle stuff. Like before then, I wasn't really rewinding at all because I didn't know what it was. But yeah. I will admit that last bit was a bit like, oh god, you're just rewinding again and again and again, like for fuck's sake. But it's there for a reason, so it's there to help. So I'm gonna abuse the little living shit out of it. Oh, come on. Dr. Mr. Krabs. Oops, piss break. No worries, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, once we do... I think it's 3 or 4 hits. Nice. You can just run along here. Bonk. Nice, that's one. Welcome back, Luca. I miss the simplicity of old Crash bosses. Yeah, like Papu Papu, you just bonk on his head 3 times. And then, job done. Boss done. This music is very intense, though. I will not lie. This is very, like, final boss music. Someone's going fucking ham on a keyboard. I broke the shit out of that piss, bro. Nice. Was it a new world record? Suddenly Sephiroth comes out. As far as the berries to the bed of indeed. Sephiroth. Sephiroth. As far as the berries to the bed of indeed. Sephiroth. Sephiroth. Oh no! Okay. I thought I was donezo then. I think this is the last bit. Think that's it. Yeah, that's the fight. We have unlocked the speed shoes. So that is any percent done. It took us 2 streams, but it's any percent done. But dude, tell me why Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts was infinitely harder than he was in his own damn games.
Can't you ever let me
Yeah, he's
win?
like basically a super boss.
You want from me,
From me, you cretin.
Cortex! You realize that Crash may have collected all the crystals, but he doesn't have the gems. With the gems, we can resurrect the masks one last time and destroy that Bandicoot once and for all.
Because he knows everything is bullshit, and people don't use magic in that game. Probably not as much. Like at all, they just mash X. I use the shit out of magic. I'd be the first to tell you I was not a magic player. I did not use magic in Kingdom Hearts. The only one I did use was Curaga or Cure, Heal. That's the only ones I would use. Even now, I don't. I probably should nowadays if I would, but like the normal bosses don't really require you to use them. Like I just did beat them with using abilities, weapon abilities and stuff like that. And yes, now the credits are rolling. We have Crash and a lab assistant dancing, because why not? Cortex Nukuka, Clancy Brown. Yes, it Mel Winkler, yeah. Debbie Derryberry. Kevin Michael Richards is Crunch. He is hard, but I think Cerberus or the Titans in Kingdom Hearts 1 are harder because of this camera and how fast the glide is. I miss that game. Kingdom Hearts is great. It's fantastic. I will agree the Titans were pretty bullshit, but KH2 Sephiroth was fucking absurd. Yeah, I've watched a few people who stream who are current, I think like some of them are still streaming Kingdom Hearts 2, doing the super bosses, and then yeah, Sephiroth is just nuts. He is just nuts. You know how much was great? It's dead now to me, which means it's actually yeah, you know, that checks out. Checks out. Alright, I sent him in funny. Bam, 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 bam. So yeah, so that was. So we've done 64% of the game, and we've beaten the game. And we went actually out of the way to get some, and we've got all the colored gems at this point too. I don't know. I'll check now. They won. 2-1. No. Right. To reflect. That's just a death sentence right there. Yeah, I think I need time with that one. Sephiroth was the only boss I remember ever really struggling like that with. That's fair. Right. Oh look, we can sprint now. We can sprint. Okay, so we'll call it here for now. We'll call it here. We'll leave it here for now. I can sprint. I can fight. Yeah. So next stream we will start tackling the extra gems and relics. So yeah, we'll do, like I say, we'll do the relic here, relic here. There's a relic and a secret path which we've got the yellow gem, so we can do that. And then etc. etc. I think we'll probably get a fair way through. I think that one we can get an extra ability and whatnot, but yeah, that sounds like a plan. Take care. Play a good Crash game though. Yeah, I'll try. What do you mean? This is a good Crash game. And the DS spin-offs. What, you mean like the GBA games, Luca? Like the Huge Adventure and Entranced games. No, the DS ones? You mean Crash Boom Bang? Yeah, I'm not playing Crash Boom Bang. That is a stain to humanity. That's how bad it is. Yeah, that one. But it has bang in its name. Funny. Maybe if we get to 700 followers and like 25 subs, like someone gifts like 50 subs or something, I don't know. Maybe I'll emulate it. Maybe. $26 Joe. Bro, what? Bro, you better do it. I mean, that's, you know what they say? Everybody has a price. So I'll pay for that shit right now. Not even joking. Well, whichever's quicker. Someone doing a 50 bomb gift sub or 700 followers. So how about no?
How about no?
You said 25? Yeah, but it's not really worth 25. Stop changing your standards. I'll stick with 50. 50, I'll stick with 50. Fuck you. Get out of here. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't now. Now you've asked me to leave. I won't leave. Just sit in this starting soon. Just sitting on this screen for a little bit. Anyways, before I annoy Luco even more, let's see who's online to raid. This much is true. I know this much is true. You know what? Let's read Ari. That's not the link. Let's read Ari. I haven't read Ari in a little while. She's currently reacting to the Nintendo Direct that just happened today, and then playing Final Fantasy VI. How cool is that? She's very nice, lovely, lovely streamer person. So we're gonna go say hi. We're gonna go say hi to Ari, and I will see you all next time for more Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex. Now that we've done the any percent ending, we can now make our way towards the true ending. So, yeah, appreciate everyone popping in. And we actually had a discussion without tearing people's heads off, so that was nice. And yeah, I'll see you all when I see you. Let me put the raid message in actually as well. But take care, everybody. I'll see you all next time, and have a good one. Bye bye for now.